2 weeks ago, I found myself in a hotel room, a broken man, staring at my phone, wondering how it all went so wrong. What was supposed to be the joyous celebration of our 5th wedding anniversary turned into a nightmare that still doesn't feel real. My wife, Rachel, and I met back in college. We were never the passionate, fiery couple that seemed to live on the edge of wild love. No, we were best friends who fell in love, building a stable, comfortable relationship that worked for us. Or so I thought. The night before our anniversary, I made dinner, her favorite pasta, and opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving for months. I had planned a surprise for her, a weekend getaway to a mountain resort, the reservation tucked into an envelope that I planned to give her the next morning. She was sitting across from me, swirling her wine, and as casually as if it was the most normal thing in the world, she said, "I've been thinking about what I want for our anniversary." I smiled, already imagining her reaction to my surprise. But then she leaned forward and said something that stopped my heart. "I want to sleep with someone else, just once." I thought she was joking, so I laughed, but the look on her face told me she wasn't. "You're not kidding, are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "No," she replied, her tone cold and serious. "It's something I've been thinking about. We've only been with each other, and I just want to know what it's like just once." I set my fork down, feeling the weight of the words she'd just thrown at me. "You want to cheat on me as an anniversary gift?" "It's not cheating if you know about it," she said, as though that was the most reasonable thing in the world. "Just one night, one experience, and then we go back to normal." "Who?" I asked, my stomach churning. She hesitated and then said, "Someone you know." "Mark. He's from work. We've been talking, and you've been talking about sleeping together." Not exactly, I thought to myself. Not exactly what I wanted to hear. I could barely process the words, let alone the idea. "Have you already?" "No," she said quickly. "I wouldn't do that behind your back. That's why I'm asking you first." I pushed my plate away, the room feeling smaller with each passing second. "I can't do it," I said finally. "If that's what you need, maybe we want different things." Her disappointment was palpable, but she tried to backpedal, trying to downplay it. "It's just one time," she said. "I'm coming to you first instead of behind your back. Doesn't that count for something?" I stood up from the table. "The fact that you want it all is the problem." "So that's a no?" she asked, looking at me like I was the one making this impossible. "That's a no." She sighed dramatically and crossed her arms. "Fine, but I think you're being controlling. It's my body." I left the room and spent the night in the guest room, my mind racing. When morning came, I knew exactly what I had to do. I packed a suitcase quietly while she was in the shower, took the anniversary envelope, and left it on the bed. Inside, I placed a resort reservation along with a note. Asterisk, the gift is yours. Go with whoever you want. Asterisk. I left. I didn't look back. I called a friend, stayed on his couch, and turned off my phone for the rest of the day. When I turned it back on the next morning, I had 47 missed calls. But they weren't from Rachel. No, they were from her brother Kevin, who's a lawyer. He was calling to accuse me of abandoning her, threatening me with everything he could think of, claiming I'd been hanging out with my ex. He had no right to walk out on her like that. It's been 2 weeks since I walked away, and now I'm holed up in an extended stay hotel, trying to piece together what's left of my life. Rachel's gone nuclear. She's been telling everyone that I emotionally abuse her by walking out and claiming I'm controlling for not letting her explore her sexuality. She even updated her relationship status to "It's complicated," tagging Mark in 3 different posts. I've spoken with a lawyer of my own now, and it turns out that you can't claim abandonment after 24 hours just because your husband wouldn't let you cheat. But I know this is going to get ugly. A week later, things took a turn for the worse. Rachel's brother Kevin showed up at my workplace, barging into the office and demanding to talk some sense into me. My team lead had to threaten security before he would leave. That night, Rachel texted me, telling me I was being ridiculous and to just come home so we could talk like adults. But I didn't respond. The next day, I got screenshots from a mutual friend. Rachel had been telling everyone that I suddenly had a mental breakdown and abandoned her with all the bills. She even claimed that I'd stopped contributing to our finances. But the truth is, we've always had separate finances except for one joint household account, which I'm still contributing to. Then the escalation came. I came home from work to find Rachel sitting in the hotel lobby, loudly accusing me of ghosting her. She made sure the front desk heard every word. I wasn't ghosting her. I was separating from her. I'm separating from you after you asked to sleep with another man as an anniversary gift, I said, my voice cold, against my better judgment. I agreed to meet her in the hotel restaurant to talk. Big mistake. Mark wasn't someone she was particularly interested in, she said. He was just an example. It's not like I specifically want him. I just wanted the experience with someone you've been talking to and specifically mentioned by name. I thought, I've been talking to my therapist about this, she said, suddenly going on the defense. It's healthy to acknowledge desires instead of suppressing them. Since when do you have a therapist? I asked. For a few months, she replied, brushing it off. She says it's good to acknowledge your desires. Stop calling it cheating. It's ethical non-monogamy. People evolve, she said almost proudly, as if that made it okay. She started crying then, and I couldn't help but feel it was more of a performance than anything else. Loud, public sobs, with people staring as if I was the bad guy. How can you be so cold? She asked between sobs. I'm your wife. I just sat there, unable to respond, because at that moment, I realized if I walked away now, it would be the end of everything, and I was ready for that. The next day, things got even more bizarre. Rachel's parents called, claiming they knew about the affair I had last year, but they were willing to forgive me. I was speechless. I've never cheated on Rachel. Not once. We know about the affair you had last year, Rachel's mom said, but we believe in forgiveness. I had no idea what they were talking about. I've never been to a conference without Rachel. I've started documenting everything now, requesting my location data, and my lawyer is pushing to move quickly with the divorce filing. It's going to get ugly. I went back to the apartment to gather the rest of my things, but when I opened the door, I was met with an unexpected sight. Half of our furniture was gone. There was a note left behind, simply stating, asterisk, just taking what's mine. Asterisk, the emptiness in the room felt like a punch to the gut as I started taking pictures for documentation. The door opened and Mark walked in, hauling at Dahlia as if he had every right to be there. He looked uncomfortable, but he didn't leave immediately. This is mine, too, I said firmly, standing in the doorway. You need to leave. He hesitated and then said, Rachel told me you abandoned the place. No, I replied coldly. I didn't abandon anything. This is still my residence. And if you don't leave, I'll call the cops for breaking and entering. He didn't argue further, but muttered, She told me you guys were already separated when we started talking, just so you know. Then he left, leaving me alone in the empty space. I was still processing when the next bombshell hit. Rachel's best friend, Jenna, reached out to me. We met for coffee, and when she spoke, it felt like the ground beneath me shifted. Rachel's been seeing Mark for at least 3 months, she said, her voice low. She told me you two had an open marriage agreement. 3 months. I couldn't even fathom it. She showed me texts from you, supposedly agreeing to it. Jenna continued. But something about the text seemed off, like it wasn't your voice at all. When I asked Rachel about it, she got defensive. It turned out Rachel had been weaving a web of lies. To some people, I was controlling. To others, I was unfaithful. To her work friends, we had an open marriage. It was all fabricated. Jenna showed me screenshots of Rachel's messages with mutual friends, planning her exit strategy, figuring out what she could take, and how she could frame me as a villain. With this newfound information, I instructed my lawyer to file for divorce, citing adultery, with evidence provided by Jenna. Then, Rachel's dramatic antics escalated. She showed up at my parents' house during Sunday dinner, putting on a tearful performance about how worried she was about my mental state. My mom called me in a panic. It took me over an hour to explain what was actually happening, and when I did, my mom was stunned, tried to come to terms with the fact that everything Rachel had said was a lie. Then came the latest twist. Rachel started claiming that we had a verbal agreement to open our marriage, and my sudden refusal to accept it was emotional abuse. Her brother Kevin began contacting my friends, asking for evidence of my so-called controlling behavior. One friend, in a move that made me grateful, sent Kevin screenshots of Rachel's Instagram stories. Each one featured her and Mark, looking cozy with captions like asterisk, "Sometimes the right person comes at the wrong time, hashtag, no regrets." Asterisk, Kevin's response was infuriating. "That doesn't prove anything. They're just friends." But the most absurd move came when Rachel's side made a settlement offer. They wanted half of the apartment, half of my savings, including pre-marriage investments and alimony. Rachel claimed she had sacrificed career opportunities to support my career, which was laughable. She worked as a marketing manager and made only $10,000 less than me. There were no career sacrifices. My lawyer drafted a counteroffer. Rachel would get what she brought into marriage, and I'd get what I brought. Common assets would be split 50-50, and she would have to admit to the affair in writing to avoid a fault-based divorce on public record. Her parents called me again, and finally, Rachel admitted to them that she had been seeing Mark before our separation. They apologized for believing her lies. A month passed, and things were finally moving toward resolution. Rachel and Kevin, after my lawyer threatened to subpoena Rachel's phone records and bring Mark in for a deposition, suddenly became reasonable. We reached a settlement. 50-50 split of assets acquired during marriage. No alimony. Rachel keeps the apartment, I keep my car, and we each handle our own debts. The most satisfying part was that Rachel had to sign a document acknowledging her extramarital relationship as part of the settlement. Kevin fought this clause hard, but my lawyer stood firm. 2 days after signing, Rachel texted me, asterisk, "Happy now? You've ruined my reputation for your ego." Asterisk, I didn't respond. The social fallout from this whole ordeal was just as ugly as I had feared. Rachel's fantasy with Mark crumbled quickly, according to mutual friends. He broke things off with her last week. Apparently, he wasn't looking for anything serious and got spooked when she started talking about moving in together. Rachel took to social media, posting vague, cryptic messages about toxic men and knowing your worth. Her latest post read, "Sometimes the universe removes people from your life as a favor, hashtag leveling up, hashtag new chapter," with the misspelled word chapter adding to the cringe. Work was awkward. My boss pulled me aside to make sure I was okay, mentioning that Rachel had been telling people I had severe anger issues. Thankfully, anyone who had worked with me knew that was absurd. I've since moved into my new place. I bought new furniture, embraced a new life, and started fresh. Last night, I had dinner with Rachel's parents. Her dad said, "We didn't raise her to behave this way." Then her mom revealed something that cut deep. Rachel had a pattern of infidelity in past relationships, and she had always struggled with commitment. "We hoped marriage would help her mature beyond that," her mom said. "I wish I had known that before I proposed, but I didn't, and there's no use in dwelling on it now. The divorce will be finalized in about 2 months. My lawyer says it's one of the cleanest breaks she's ever seen, despite the initial drama. I've joined a rock climbing gym, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating again, casually, nothing serious. Last week, while unpacking, I found the original anniversary gift envelope. The resort reservation had expired and used. I threw it away without a second thought. There is still a moment of anger, not about Rachel wanting to sleep with someone else, but about the web of lies she constructed, the way she tried to gaslight me, manipulate our friends, and turn people against me. The sheer entitlement of thinking she deserved both me and her affair. But mostly I'm grateful. Grateful that she showed me her true self before we had kids. Grateful I found out when I did, not years later. Grateful I walked away with my dignity intact. Sometimes, the best response to chaos is simple. Pack your bags, leave a note, and start again.